Views from the friend zone. I'm trying to reach the end zone. You think I'm kinda sweet and you wanna be friends though? It's cool though. Just don't try to play me for no fool, yo. Views from the friend zone. I'm trying to reach the end zone. You think I'm kinda sweet and you wanna be friends though? It's cool though. Just don't try to play me for no fool, yo. Yeah. Welcome to another edition of the Views from the Friend Zone podcast. Happy Puerto Rican Day Parade. You know, everybody out there looking good. Thoughting season was in full effect on the way here. I was just like, good Lord. And then there's the beautiful colors, the music, people dancing on the corners of the street. I felt like, you know, I've been to Puerto Rico a couple of times. I felt like, you know, I was back in Puerto Rico. Also, we have to big a shout out for Happy Pride Month. You know, last week we should have shouted that out. But, you know, Happy Pride Month, everyone out there living their fullest life, proud, comfortable being who they are. So, like always, I'm going to have everybody introduce themselves, starting with all right?
It's Sensei, a.k.a. Open Shirt Poppy, a.k.a. SSN.
SSN, for those who don't know.
We're not going to tell, no, bro. We're not going to tell them what it is.
The first letter is super. We'll let you guess the next two letters. And then
Go ahead, ladies.
Well, hi, my name is Pam.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I am the beautiful fiance.
Okay.
And I'll let you introduce yourself.
I'm Ness.
Okay.
I am friend of, what do you call yourself? SSN?
SSN, Open Shirt Poppy.
Yes,
amongst other things.
Our two beautiful guests. They're on the show today. They're representing for Pride Month as well.
Yes.
And
let's not forget Puerto Rican as well.
oh
yes.
yeah, Puerto Rican.
So you celebrate both of the the
I love my
festivities.
Puerto Rican people, but it's too much traffic.
Yeah,
man.
you better love your
Too
Dominican
much
people
traffic.
too.
Oh no! Shout out to DR.
Okay, good.
Okay. shout out to all my Puerto Ricans in my life. My wife is Puerto Rican.
Most of my life.
My in-laws are
It's your
Puerto
day, I'm
Rican, so
sorry.
shout out to them. You know, I don't know many people who went to the parade. I went to the parade a lot when I was younger, and I always loved it. And they're so festive and beautiful.
I rode on a float in the
Beautiful
parade
people.
many
Really?
years ago.
You know,
Wow.
I've never been to any parade, nor Puerto
No?
Rican nor Dominican.
Well, the Dominican parade is
Excuse
compared
you.
to the Puerto
Yo, it's kind of, I ain't gonna hold you. I'm not trying. I'm
Yeah,
Haitian, right? I'm not
right.
trying to offend you, but they don't show love for the Dominican Day Parade, or it's not really.
Well,
a
you know
thing.
what? That's maybe because I haven't been to any Dominican parade. So maybe once I
Okay,
go
yeah,
to
you're
one,
gonna
it'll
have to
change.
bring that light to it.
They only got like 5 floats.
Yo, it was crazy.
They just go around and around.
You know what? I'm gonna stop making food for y'all.
Okay.
No arroz con pollo. No habichuelas.
And the crazy
no
thing
nothing.
about it is, I was driving
We
through
love the
Brooklyn
food.
on the way here, and like every corner, it was just popping, music playing, flag waving, people
Houses.
dancing.
No, I
And I'm
can
like,
definitely
wow.
say.
The decoration was crazy.
For example, I'm originally from Long Island as well, and as we were driving over here, I already told her, I was like, yo, this is the place where we need to move. Like,
Okay.
it's,
This area.
yeah, the flags, the pride,
Mm-hmm.
the Puerto Rican flags everywhere. I was like, you know what, we don't need to go to a restaurant. Can we just knock on one of these stores? We're like, here, let's come cook some arroz con pollo,
Yeah.
and we'll have a good day.
Yeah.
She was like, pull over, let's see if we could blend in. I was like,
So yeah, we're gonna jump right into the show, and the first topic we're gonna talk about is the way they see us. You know, the stereotypes of African Americans and brown people. You know, Latino people, just people who aren't well, soon Latino people will be the majority of this country, but at this particular moment, they're not. And we're just there was an interesting show by Ava DuVernay which covers the Central Park Five. And it just made me think of a broader concept of the way that they see us, right? Because a lot of times we live in our own bubbles, but then the way that people outside of our community see us it generalizes us, And you guys being an openly, same-sex couple, I'm sure you guys get viewed in certain ways when you're just trying to live your own life, and then people stare and like have stigmatism to you. So we're gonna just talk about. In 2019, we are still feared as we were back in the 80s and even earlier time. You would think all the things we've been through, all the law changes of allowing people to have same-sex marriage, or even having a black president, even having Latino people in government and things of that nature, we still get viewed so poorly. So, like the film that I was talking about is the way that they see us covers the Central Park Five, how these young boys, black and brown boys, was just wrong place, wrong time, and I was watching it, and it was just like,
If you didn't see it, you need to see it.
yeah. But I was watching, and it's just like they just snatched up people just because of descriptions, and like
Didn't
changed these
question
people's
anybody
lives.
else. Yeah.
It went from getting tickets from disorderly contact in the park to being suspects of a rape case with like not very strong evidence. And then you know how it is, you get young kids in interrogation rooms. Some of them, their family had to work, so it wasn't there, and they're just pressuring you to say, yeah, I did it, kind of thing. So the question is, you know, they still view us in a negative. I'm not going to say us all in together, but we're still viewed so negatively off of like very little individual input. So how can we change that? What do you think?
I don't know. Like I don't think it's nothing I feel like we need to change. I feel like something they need to change.
Yes,
'Cause at
the
end of the day,
education.
yeah,
That's what I was thinking too. That's a good answer.
It's something that is just like, you know, after seeing this film, you need to look at yourself and be like, you know, what's going on? Why did these 5 boys get accused so quickly to doing this crime?
Mm-hmm.
And this is going on every day in America right now. So shit hasn't changed.
Our president doubled down and opened up, you know, he took out newspaper ads to try to get the death penalty back for these young boys.
Mm-hmm.
And the crazy thing about it is, it's like how hard people went to convict these kids without, I mean, nowadays, DNA is more something that we use so openly. Back then it was a little kind of like still not, like DNA was just like, if you had DNA, that's a bonus, but we don't need DNA. Nowadays, you kind of need all that kind
Now
of
it's
thing.
just like, okay, you look the part, you're guilty.
Yeah.
Basically, what it is we need to do is educate ourselves. Because one of the things that had me so furious in that movie was the lack of education by the parents, the family members.
Pressuring
like,
them
you
into
would have known
admitting.
better. Like, you can't do the things that, even back then, they couldn't, they weren't supposed to be operating the way they was operating.
Yeah.
And now it wouldn't even fly.
Yeah,
Like that
because we
pressure
have
hold-
more information now, right? We have access to the internet. We see certain situations. We have case studies. But back then, people kind of felt like, yo, if the cops feel like you did it, what else can you do if I don't have money?
Even if they knew. The one mother said, my child's a minor. You're not questioning him.
Oh, yes.
She
Yes.
took him right out of there.
Yeah.
The others, they knew that this is not the proper thing. This is not right. But they were so scared.
Yeah.
They were scared, and they were just like, oh, they just went with it. And it frustrated me to beyond belief, because I'm like,
and even if you think about the beginning, right? The cops show up. Some of these kids didn't do anything, and they ran. It's just because of the history of this people.
It's
Our
the
people
fear.
feeling
It's
like
the
once you see the
fear.
cops,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
run, which is sad, right? Because if you watch young white adults, they see the cops, they
they'll
talk
curse
to
them out.
They talk to the
What
cops.
the
They
fuck do you want?
talk to
I'm
the
waiting
cops
for them.
like they
Yeah.
literally pay the
Because-
cops salary out their wallet.
Because
Because
it's
they
the
do.
truth. You should feel
We
protected.
all do, though, if you
Yeah.
think about it. We all pay the same taxes to feel that way, but people of color don't feel protected by the police the way others do.
You should feel
Exactly.
protected. I'm not to say anything, but it comes out of our salary as well.
Yeah.
And it's not just, let's say, because you're an African American person. It's normally targeted against the males as
Yeah.
well. And that's something that needs to be changed.
Just think about
Education.
situations when you see situations, right? Any altercation kind of situation, you see videos, and you'll see a white person like, yes, the cops are here, right? Like they got backup.
You never see a
and
black
then
person be
people
like,
of
yeah,
color
cops are
like,
here.
shit, the cops are here,
Mhm.
right? Same situation, they could be equally involved in the altercation, but it's just the history of how we're approaching. We're seen as the aggressors. We're seen as soon as police come to the scene.
We're the first ones getting handcuffed.
Yeah, so they'll ask other people, okay, can you tell us the list of events? And then people of color are interrogated as soon as police are on the scene. You know what I'm
But that's what I'm saying.
Real
If you
Afro
educate
pushers.
yourself, I feel like you will be more comfortable dealing with the cops and in those situations, because you will know your rights. You will know what they can and can't do. And when they see that you're educated enough to know what they can and
But do
can't
you
do,
feel like
they
it's fair though? I don't feel like
No,
it's
it's not fair.
definitely not fair.
And
like
it's not- it's- but it's never gonna be
stand
fair.
that. Like I hate
No,
seeing
it's
never
Facebook
gonna be fair.
videos of like situations like that. Makes me like
Let me tell
really
you.
pissed.
So last night I was in City Field and Lauryn Hill performed. And
She actually showed up.
yeah, she showed up. And she wasn't late. Like
We have a hater on this side of
no,
the
no,
table.
no, no.
It's
But
okay.
No, this
Lauryn
is
Hill has a
facts.
reputation, right?
Everybody knows
So,
that. I
but this
love
is the
Lauryn.
crazy thing. So Lauryn Hill performed "Forgive Us, Father, for they know what they do." not what they do, right? And she's showing, Tamir Rice, Mike Brown, New Orleans, Eric Garner, the guy in New Orleans, the guy in Minnesota who had his license, all of that. And I was just like, wow. I'm getting sad about it. But, she's singing it, and, the cops are protecting her and stuff like that. And it was just showing cop after Sandra Bland and stuff like that. And it was just so tough. But at the same time, it's just like, when we were younger, because filming, like now everyone has a camera phone, right?
Yeah.
So the biggest thing we kind of saw or play over and over when we was younger, I don't know you guys' age, I'm not gonna ask you guys' age, was Rodney King, right? Rodney King was the one that we was able to see on videotape. Yep. But a lot of times we just hear the stories. But now that everyone has a camera phone, every other week we see these events. And you understand? It was 5 minutes long of pure different situations of police brutality, and it was just like, and it's just like, man, like
week.
Every week.
Every day there's a new story.
You're going to get numb
somewhere.
to it. You can get numb to it.
I was numb to it, but at the same time I was just like, man, like how do we change that, right? Because a lot of times, the funny, crazy thing about it is, the majority of times, these people were unarmed. Unarmed. They didn't have weapons on them. They didn't have weapons in the vicinity of them. But then she also played where it was just like, it showed like, oh, I felt threatened. Like, it said that I felt threatened and stuff like that. But these people are unarmed, So my thing about it is, especially with our music, right? So hip-hop culture, hip-hop culture influences so many. There's violent elements of hip-hop culture, but there's just the culture of our living stance. But I feel like other people culture, like for rock and roll, if some rock is dark and heavy, but it's just like the people coming out of that don't get viewed as like, oh man, they're threats. Sometimes you'll see videos
because that's just little Timmy expressing his anger and
like,
he's just getting it out.
Think about,
so you know what I'm saying?
It's different.
Listen, Ozzy Osbourne in some of his concerts and stuff like that will bite the head of a live bat kind of thing, and you talking about dropping blood and stuff like that. So my thing about it is, what about our culture that is so threatening to people who don't know us, but other people's cultures that can show equal signs of aggression doesn't get met that way?
You know what it is? I don't think it's also between much of our culture is also what, like, how people perceive us is one thing, but how we perceive ourselves is another. And within our culture, a lot of things are still considered taboo, and a lot of things are still considered like, okay, well, we just won't touch that topic, we don't talk about it. And that makes us view ourselves in a different way.
In what way exactly? You view ourselves?
In the sense of, like, for example, things that happen nowadays politically. For example, us being open lesbians within our culture. Some people do understand that, and I do agree. Other people say, hey, listen, we don't talk about those things. Their things are wrong. When you go back to our country, you're condemned on those things. You get beaten because of that, et cetera, et cetera. We need to change our views of ourselves as well as their view of ourselves.
So let me ask you a question. Do you feel it's our responsibility to educate people about us that don't know us, or is more their responsibility to be more sensitive to people who are other than themselves?
Personally,
or differently? Yeah.
I feel like it's their responsibility to educate themselves on us, but it's our responsibility within our community to support us.
Okay.
We need to be able to support ourselves if we want a different view of how other people support us. I don't know if that makes sense.
What do you think?
I feel like all people are equal. I feel like, things that are going on today, like, you have to take a look, you know what I mean? If this were yourself, would you like what's going on?
Yeah.
No. You know what I mean? Doesn't matter the race. Like, it's one of those things, like, would you like what's going on? And no.
One of the things that came from this, the way they see us was the prosecutor who became like a novelist and stuff like that. She feels like, oh, she's being victimized.
She feels like
you should have sicked the beehive on her
because her actions are
she's done right now.
Yeah, her actions are being no. She was about to get awards and they're taking it back and stuff like that. It's like, you know what? She's having the.
But why now? Because this is the thing. Just because this show came out on Netflix all of this information has been known.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Now we're just seeing it. Because it's always the visualization of something.
We're
that
victims
make us
of
feel it.
cancel culture. As soon as they decide that it's your time to get canceled, look at Matt Lauer, who was on the Today Show and stuff like that. He's been. It was so bad that they was giving details. I mean, this is a couple of months later. He had certain buttons to lock the door for like when certain people came into his office and crazy stuff like that.
Oh, when he was touching the women?
Yeah.
wait,
So,
what?
but I say that to say this: we live in the culture when you know what. When it's in our face nowadays, now we have more facts. Now we see certain things and things like that because certain people, don't get it twisted, some people who were there pointing the finger back then are now just like, oh, yeah, I didn't know all of this and stuff like that. We ran with less information. Now we're in the information age where we get detail after detail after detail.
Everything gets leaked nowadays.
You know what I'm saying? So there's no hiding that kind of thing. An interesting question I have for you guys specifically, right? Because to me, like, I feel, and educate me on this, right? I feel like, to me, it's uncomfortable for myself to be like you guys, to call you guys lesbians, right? And let me tell you why. Because to me, I just see you as a couple,
And that's
Yeah.
what
right?
we are.
Because me and my wife, people don't like, there go those heterosexuals, right? It's weird. It's weird to me. So
I agree with you.
I understand that, you know, we have humans, we just have classifications, right?
That's
you know,
interesting.
we
Are
call
y'all
people-
offended when y'all call lesbians?
You know what I get offended with? Somebody says a dyke, and I'm like, no, I'm not a dyke. No.
So yeah,
You could say like I'm gay, but like I don't know. Like
So,
it's just
also-
I'm what kind of you are. We like the same thing. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
just I'm a female that likes girls. Like you know. It's,
and that's what really bothers me. Like to me, like you know, like I said,
Everybody has labels. for
yeah,
everybody
yeah.
else.
Like why
And
do
it
we have to
shouldn't
fit
be
in
like that.
boxes, right?
Right.
Like to me, it's just a couple. You guys could either be a happy couple, a couple that fight, just a couple.
You gotta have boxes, or else then I can be a unicorn.
Nah, but come
Yeah,
on.
Look at
you
this.
can be a
Unicorn.
unicorn with red
Unicorn.
stripes. I got you.
But like, why? Like to me, so that bothers me. Like, do you feel like you know having to quote unquote to be marginalized as far as being into a box? Like, oh, that's a lesbian couple instead of just being called a couple. Like, does that bother you to have to be classified that way?
it does.
To some extent, yes. But then it's like, to one extent, I feel like I'm educated enough to say, hey, listen, we're a couple. Other people are not educated enough to understand the difference between, hey, listen, you're a heterosexual couple and you're a lesbian couple. You feel more comfortable calling me a lesbian couple. I don't feel comfortable with that, but because that's the way you understand it, until you get educated, I'm going to let you roll with that.
Another thing that you know what, education wise, like you can educate it, like couples, like people also subscribe that you have to be in like a role, like this same sex couple, this one's the wife versus this one is. Nah, it's
They laugh.
I know
because
you
they
laugh because you go through it, right?
They know it's
It is,
true.
it is.
You
But
know
to me-
what? It's
to me-
so funny.
To me, it's just like, you know, why are we so stuck in the quote unquote roles as far as having to subscribe to binary as it's like, this is the man one, this is the woman one.
Because
This is,
that's what society
You have like the aggressor
is
and the
used
femme.
to.
Like,
Yeah, I was just gonna say-
Yeah, like
Society
it's
is
I
used
know
to
about the
having
femme
a
and
male
aggressor. Like,
yeah.
does that bother you
That's
to
what-
It does.
for that
It
label?
does.
That's
It
how
really does.
the other side understands
Because
it better.
it's
because they say,
society
okay,
in general. Society, most of the fact, wants to pretty much, you have a male role and a female role. This is the one that goes to work all the time. This is the one that has the babies and take care of it. But it's, you can see it today. For example, I'm a person, I'm dressed today, I can say lazy chic.
Lazy chic, I like that.
It's regular Sunday best.
It's
Regular
Sunday. It's Sunday. Relax.
But if you see me out there, I mean, my hair is always done. Hair, makeup, nails, dress, high heels, and you see me without Vanessa, you would think, hey, listen, this is just a regular chick walking down the street.
Yeah.
I got my Jordans on, got my sweats,
But-
regular shirt, Vanessa down my
Who you-
arm, and it's
who-
all of a sudden now you're a lesbian.
Yeah, but who you find love with? Why does that have to classify you?
It doesn't have to classify you.
Like
I personally, just like, for example, you fell in love with your wife, that's the same way I fell in love with my girl.
exactly. You know, so and you started to talk about it, like the whole assignment of femme versus aggressive kind of thing, and I didn't learn about the femme classification versus aggressive till like my mid-20s, right? It wasn't something that I was brought up to know about and stuff like that. So does it bother you to be like caught or like, you know, stigmatized and put into a box of having to subscribe?
Okay, let me keep it real here.
No.
Okay, let's go answer the question.
No.
But I'm gonna
You
keep it
can
real
jump
with
in.
y'all here.
Okay.
I get a lot of people that say, "Oh, you're a stud." No, I'm not a stud. Like I like females. So like my thing is like I wear tight pants, maybe loose shirts, but I'm not a stud. Like people categorize studs as like they wear loose clothes, they're more the aggressive kind, and they like femmes. I can go for whatever. So whatever female I think is pretty and I like her personality, that's it.
Yeah.
I like females, that's it.
Yeah.
So I don't do that categorizing like femme, stud, aggressor. Like I hate that.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Okay,
Okay.
so let's keep it real though, right?
that, man.
Because I hear what you're saying, and I heard what you said as well. But 9 times out of 10, when you see a lesbian couple, one is more obvious than the other. You see what I'm
Not
saying?
necessarily.
Whoa! I'm just telling you.
Dressing
Not
wise,
necessarily.
dressing
But
wise,
yeah,
you don't know what goes down behind curtains.
You
though.
don't know that, but all
Not
you got
even
to go off is
dressing-wise.
first appearance.
That's judgmental.
Right?
But not even dressing wise, because I've known, well, things that I've seen as well. You can see girls out, both, you know, I've known of couples that are together and both makeup done, both nails done, both dress, both heels. You can't tell which one is.
Yeah, but
If
they're
you could say
categorized as
more-
femmes though. When people look at
Okay,
them,
well, yeah.
And y'all do that in
See?
your own groups.
I don't
y'all
do that. I don't do
so
that.
it's not just on the other side
Listen,
now.
hey, listen,
'Cause
you look good, you look good. I can't tell you, hey, listen, you're a femme or you're a dyke or this, because I personally find that degrading.
To me, it's just so uncomfortable. Like
It is.
this day and age that we have to feel like I have to put you in a box. I have to put you on a label.
Yeah.
You know?
You don't have to, but it's
But
like
it's done.
There are men
Sadly,
that
it's
like
done.
wearing women's clothing and like to dress up in tight skinny jeans and tight clothes, and they're still with straight women. And,
Yeah.
You know, like do I categorize you guys? Like, are you the less dominant one because you're wearing her clothes? You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
those type of roles. I don't, and it's like put on us. I don't. Yeah, no.
Another thing, before I go to the next question topic, another thing that also bothers me, and I want you guys to educate. People always feel like, you know, same-sex couple, one couple had to have some kind of trauma to make them that way, kind of thing. Like they couldn't have natural. No, you can laugh, but this is the kind of
It
thing
is.
that
No,
people
it's true.
have
I
that.
definitely
It's true.
understand
I hear
where
that.
you're
Yeah.
And so that's, you know,
It's true.
dispel that. Like, is that another thing that kind of bother you guys?
I've seen it. I've seen it. So yes, I feel like I've seen it that way, and then I've seen it go another way. I've seen a recent couple that she's been with men all her life, has 2 kids, and she met some girl that can provide for her, and she's gay. So she had a traumatic incident to where like her baby daddy got in jail.
Mhm.
So now she's gay.
Now, how do y'all feel about that?
I laugh every day every time that couple posts something because I just
But I also
So
see it
are
both
you
ways.
kind of judging in that way to say that?
They do
I
it.
am.
They do
Yes,
it.
I am.
I gotta
Yes,
be,
I am.
I can safely say,
Yes, I am.
I
Yeah,
can
because
safely
I
say
don't.
we
because
do it ourselves.
It's not genuine. I feel.
I'm not gonna, you know, go into too detail, but I have a really good friend who's like, she's in a same-sex relationship, and this is her first same-sex relationship. We're in our 30s now, kind of thing, and to me, it's just like I'm not shocked that she's in the same-sex relationship because I always felt like she just wanted to be loved. Someone to love her. That's it, kind of thing. It wasn't like she always was chasing after one thing or one kind of, and now she found someone who loved her. So it allows me to just, but from what you're just saying, I feel like you probably would judge her, right? Because this is her first same-sex relationship. She's in her 30s, and it's been men of it before that.
Well, personally, I feel like it's different because I am from a Spanish family. I see it on both sides. I see it on the side where
Listen, just say I'm the first girl you've been with, so I think you'll be expert in this.
Oh.
Let
answer.
me
see?
let me,
So go
let me-
ahead.
Let me
Go
finish.
ahead.
the
We allow you to
conversation.
share what you want to
Go ahead.
share. Go ahead.
She called you out.
Go ahead. Don't beat around the bush, bro.
You're not. Anyways, let me continue. Because I am from a Spanish family, it's definitely different. You have that most Spanish families do, what are other people going to think about me mentality.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I'm this way, but I know my family won't approve.
Yeah.
We go to church, and I know the church community won't approve.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you still want to be happy. So you feel this void of trying to accommodate and trying to make everybody else happy, and you're putting yourself on the back burner. You know, so you're married now. You have kids. You are soccer mom. Whatever it is the deal is may be.
To fit the ideal, we all chase
Right.
the ideal.
And then all of
I
a
think the
sudden
American
now-
dream is to chase the ideal and not
Right.
be yourself. Which
And now you find yourself in a position where, okay, I've made everybody else happy, but what about me? You know, I
Yeah.
haven't been happy all this time.
All this time.
Now it's time for me to get what I want.
So
Like, I
wait,
want to be happy.
we're
and
gonna
I
get
wanna-
back to this. This is your first same-sex relationship?
Publicly, yes.
Publicly, okay.
that's a
Now
big
I can understand it, but and I see you little judgy.
I'm
but
not,
listen,
because
I
I've been here for a
I
minute.
have-
Like, I've
Always
been,
and forever
a
will be judging.
50-year-old man who, at my previous job, decided he wanted to be a woman. He has a wife
not
and 3
commending
kids.
that.
and he's
He
a
has a-
military dude,
yes.
right? Which is
He
tough.
has a wife
But
and
this
3
is-
kids.
This is where I'm saying, is
So
it
it's-
that you did it because you trying to fulfill this role and trying to just make everybody
He's
else
been
happy.
living a lie for all
That's
these
what I'm
years.
saying.
Look at
And it's a lot of
Caitlyn
people.
Jenner. Look at
It's a
Caitlyn
lot
Jenner.
of
Say that,
people.
Bruce Jenner
Bruce
originally,
Jenner,
now
right?
Caitlyn Jenner.
Sorry,
Yeah.
And
her
Bruce-
name is Caitlyn.
Yeah, that's I
So-
I
so-
said Caitlyn. I said Caitlyn.
You
I don't
But
support
So,
that.
like, to clear it
Her
up, you
individually.
say early on, or most of your, life, not most of it, but early on, you was basically pretending to be something that you're not.
Kind of, sort of, yeah. I wouldn't say pretending, because to a certain point I did want to consider myself bisexual. I did have, male partners as well as female partners, but I
Did you see
personally...
the face? We're gonna have to get back to Vanessa after
But
she
I
finishes.
personally, I've been more attracted more to females than I am to male. Most of the males, I've been mostly because, okay, what is my family going to think? Oh my God. Most of my family is, if not all, very Spanish. Some very religious, because I can't say all. But it's like, okay, am I going to be shunned, and I'm not going to be able to come to my family anymore, and I'm not going to be able to have that support system. But thankfully, everybody does accept me.
Except you.
I feel like Vanessa's like, let me sit
I
my
mean, she
tea
does-
and
she-
not
she
say
has-
something.
Yeah, you did.
So
Let
just
it
speak
out.
your mind.
Let's
Speak
hear
your
it.
mind, please.
Let's hear it.
Listen, man, when I met you, it was,
Oh no, I'm not gonna hide
I
it.
was-
When you first met me,
yeah,
I
I
was
was
trying to
first.
hide it in the beginning because I was personally scared.
Yeah.
it was rough. I mean, I think all the females that I ever deal with, like,
I've probably been the
are
worst one,
kind
and
of
it's okay.
men-based before, but have, like, female tendencies.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's
So you
scary.
out here converting them. You out here converting them.
That's what she
You
does.
bringing them out the closet.
Burn them,
You
break up with them, and
chauffeuring
then
them out.
you know,
You're
this
like,
one-
come
this
on.
one got
Starting
me
to break
stuck,
up with it,
though.
we keep it moving.
But to get back to a bigger point, it's sad that so many people find that they have to hide their life.
But you know what it is?
That's the one thing that breaks my heart the most,
Yes.
right? Because, like, I'm heterosexual. I don't in my mind feel like I've ever had to hit. But me, what bothered me about all my life, I've been a big person all my life. So people see me and they have a laundry list of judgments. Oh, he's lazy. All he do is eat all day. Like, all these crazy kind of things. And then people get to know me and they're like, that's not who you are, kind of thing. That's why to me it's always made me like, man, like, I couldn't necessarily openly, like, it took growing up, because don't get it twisted. When I was younger, we used to do the, oh, he's gay, oh, you acting like a faggot kind of thing, because
Yeah.
that was the
That's what
culture
you-
you grow up to. And then I got to college, and then I started having gay roommates. And the thing about it was, I've had multiple gay roommates, and all of them were closeted. So, sneaking around kind of thing,
It's just
bringing
what she
girls
is
to
throughout
the
the
room,
time.
but they had boyfriends off campus, and I was like, damn, they didn't even get to live their life.
Doing that
But
Atlanta
that's
shit.
yeah,
that
that's
Atlanta
where
shit.
I come from.
I have a good
Homo
friend. I have a
buddy.
good friend now, and I'm gonna be 37. He's gonna be 38. No, he's gonna be 38, 39. He's married to a guy, but only a close circle know that I know he's married because someone told me. But it's just like I talk to him all the time and stuff like that. He has a full life on Facebook and stuff like
People
that.
don't know he's gay.
People, no, we
He's
know
married
he's
to a guy.
we know he's gay, but he's
But
not
not his
openly gay.
immediate family,
But
right?
he's But he's a grown man.
But this
I
is
met
where
this. No, I met this coworker, my previous job, and she's from Jamaica, and
Oh
yeah,
Yeah,
she
the
wanted to
Caribbeans
go
and
to
homosexuality. That's her own show.
oh, yeah.
That's her own show on its own.
God. She
she's married.
yeah, she's married. You would never know that she's married until she like feels comfortable to say it to you. So because I'm a lesbian and she figured that out, she was like, "Oh, I'm gay." She's like, "And I'm married." And I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." I was like, maybe we can double date because we're looking for people to double date. She's like, "Yeah, we don't like go in public and do like the holding hands thing, and we're not affectionate." They're literally, we got on the bus one day, they sit here, and then one sits in the back. I told him, I said, I'm very open, and kudos, I feel bad for people who are closeted, and I wish they were more like me, but I can't do that. Because it's like, you're not living your full life.
But this is where I come from and saying
can't.
where family plays a big role. I am thankful for the family that I do have because they're now very open-minded and they do understand and they support us either way. But if, let's say I had another different type of family, I think that, it would be very different because I would feel that, okay, so do I make myself happy and shun them out, or do I stick with my family and,
The craziest thing about it is life is not like, this is not a video game where you got multiple lives. You got one life.
You got one.
So you
That's
got
a
to think
fact.
about that.
You
gotta
The
live
person
for
you
you.
love, the person you love the
Yeah.
most, I got to act like you a stranger.
That's why
For people who don't pay my bills or don't give a shit about
Thank
me,
you.
that
That's
don't
what
make
I
no
say.
sense. Even in my
That's
current
what I
relationship,
say,
right?
yeah.
My wife is Puerto Rican. She's a very fair-skinned Puerto Rican. So a lot of times I go to certain
I
places.
know one of those.
But a lot of times I go certain places and then I get people. Like, to me, if you listen to the show and you listen to a lot of things, I'm very pro supporting black business, and I find black women beautiful all day, every day.
Yes,
That
they
never
are.
stopped. But I found love with a Puerto Rican woman. I'll meet people who show me love and support and stuff like that, and then they see a picture of me and my wife. And then,
Switch up.
he's one of those kind of dudes and
Switch
stuff
up
like
on
that.
you.
Not knowing that because they automatically assume that my wife is white, not.
That's how
Latino.
I grew up. My mom looks white.
Yeah.
You
so,
look white too.
So, but
That's
I say
okay.
that to say this. It used to bother me. I used to, when I was, because I've been with my wife for, we've been married for 10 years.
Nice.
So when I first started dating, I used to want to go out my way to prove to people like, no, she's not white. She's Latina. No. But then I said to myself, I don't care. Like, how is that going to help me if I spend so much time trying to fight everybody and let them know that
It gets to a
kind of stuff
certain
like that.
point where you honestly just don't care. Listen, I'm happy. I'm living my best life. We're happy together. We found love. If you can accept that, well, that's on
That's
you.
why
That's not true. When I first
Congratulations.
met you, you introduced me as your friend.
Like I
grew
said,
up,
when you first met me, how we now.
No, see, I grew up.
I said, how about now?
How
Right.
about now? Catch me outside. How about
How about
now?
now, right?
I grew up not caring. Like, my parents are kind of different, and I just
Well, that's
like
what I'm saying.
whatever.
It's also very
I'ma live my
different.
life.
It's very different in the culture within. I feel like you grew up and what I grew up. I grew up where my parents, until still today, and you can vouch for that, are my everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up where, listen, Papi needs something. Well,
You
what
don't-
does Papi need?
You wouldn't do everything to not disappoint them.
Right.
Or you
So
felt
this-
like you might be disappointing
Be disappointing. To some extent, I have gotten a little bit over that fear. I'm not going to say it's 100% there because it's not.
Yeah.
But it's to the extent where they accept me for who I am. They accept me with who I'm with. They know I'm happy. They know we're happy. They also know she'll do anything that I need, whether it's to make me happy. If I just need that emotional support,
Yeah.
she's there. For anything I need, she's there. She's now part of the family. Like my mom, that's her daughter.
But when we went to DR, though, let me tell you,
Both of my
Ooh.
DR
But
family.
that's a
lot of unpicked
Yeah, let me
aggression.
tell
Wait,
you.
she went to
let
DR?
me tell you.
What were you in
okay?
DR? What were you to her in DR?
Her grandfather recently passed away in April, so I went there.
That's my man.
I'm sorry.
That's the only person I
sorry
can
for
call
you.
my
First
man.
day in DR, I don't think they were even focused on the funeral. I had so many people look at me like crazy.
Well, you also have to understand, now you're stepping into a culture where it's taboo.
Yeah.
No,
One thing is my
listen.
family out here, another thing is my family out there.
Yeah.
And
Maybe if I had long
understand.
hair, it would probably be a different situation. But I had short hair. I look the way that I do. I look somewhat like the typical, I guess,
But I can safely say she can't say that she wasn't accepted by some people, because let me tell you, my uncle calls every other day talking about, where's my sister? We need to go out drinking. We need to go out and do this. We need to go out and do that. So I understand some reservation with some people.
That's what happens sometimes.
It's mostly it's the woman though.
They either either fall in line or get left behind. But when they know you committed to, this is who I am, this is what I'm about, accept me, or
right. That's where I feel where I personally have to draw the line. It's not so much on her, but it's on me, because it's also my family.
I also think with family, especially in cultures like Dominican, Haitian, those kind of cultures, it's just like it takes them a while to accept it. But once they realize that you're loved and protected, then it kind of people fall in line. Those are them who realize, you know what, that's what life is about. Because you could be with a no shit dude who beat on you and everything,
he's a dude, it's okay.
But it's okay because you have a man in your life, kind of thing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Vanessa, when did you like completely come out to your family?
My senior year of high school, and it wasn't like I came out. My mom
18?
kind of find out because she was super nosy. She went through like my phone bill. She was like, "Who the hell are you texting so much?" She even called the girl, but yeah,
Wow.
I didn't officially come out.
Okay.
She found out, and then I like
too.
admitted it.
So the last question I want to ask is the way that they see us, because the conversation's flown so well. As far as there's some people who say that, you know what, there's a new wave of movement to like use media and TV shows to like make people gay. It's an ignorant statement, and I always tell people like, because now every show there's a gay character or there's a gay representation, and I always tell people like, you see it that way because you're not comfortable, but the way that the media is working now it's inclusion. Now there's a segment of the population be like if people don't see it now, but if you went to the 40s and the 50s, people of color weren't on TV at all, and then all of a sudden there was a lot of black.
They've been there. These people have been there. It's just now they're showing them.
Even commercials. It was just a lily white family, and then now you see so many.
The white picket fence.
Even Disney, which I was shocked. Disney in the last commercial that they had two black fathers with their kids, same couple, and they kept flashing about these new rides to come see and kind of stuff like that. And Disney was mad old fashioned. So my question to you is, do you feel that, you know, the media is now being more acceptance to you guys, or you feel like you're seeing more representation and you're comfortable about that? And how do we fight the stereotype and let people know like, yo, this is just about inclusion. This is not a hidden agenda.
I feel like it needs to be more in programs daily. Like I was hearing a lot of backlash about. I didn't even know Arthur was still on the air, but did you hear Arthur? One of the characters.
Yeah, one of the characters
was
got married.
Yeah.
Gay.
Oh my gosh.
One of the teachers or something.
Bert and Ernie was the first.
Yes. Yeah.
Gay couple that we didn't know was a gay couple kind of thing.
But this is my thing.
I feel like these are things kids need to know going forward. If your kid is not gay or or lesbian, then that's fine, but going forward your kid needs to know there are people like that in society.
My thing about it is parents need to realize anything that quote unquote scares them, they have to have these conversations with their kids instead of letting their kids find out through weird shit.
Like I say, it's a lot of taboo that isn't spoken within the family, and it should be addressed. Because to me, that is inclusion. Every time I see a person of color and gay couple on TV, I'm like, yes, go ahead, go represent, But a lot of people see it other way. A lot of people will, you know what, this show is just trying to turn my kid gay.
Yeah.
And that's not the case.
Because, I mean, kids are impressionable. Kids are definitely impressionable.
Yes.
So what they see,
it's what they,
it may kind of influence them, but I don't
They're
feel like your sexuality.
That's true, but they need
outlets,
to know.
right? Because I don't have any children. I'd rather my child see something and feel like, you know what, normal, healthy people are like this, than for my child to be like, I'm so afraid to tell my parents that I'm this way, that they commit suicide, they become depressed, they live a miserable life over something that's their life. This is how they should feel.
It's how they feel. Comfortable.
Your kid cannot be gay, but your kid can have a friend that has 2 dads or 2 moms. But maybe from watching these early on shows, if you don't talk to them about that, they know that that's okay. You know, that's normal.
It's
that's
okay.
That's
it's
the norm.
normal.
You know?
Maybe it's not me
I see Vanessa's
personally,
shirt though. I
but-
just read it says proud. It's
Oh,
nice.
okay, that's
little
what's up. That's a
button-down.
nice little pride. So we're gonna move on to the next topic. We stayed on that topic very long, but we just had such a good conversation. I didn't want to move it up. So, is love still important, right? And I know that sounds crazy, but I think we grow up kind of thinking that, you know what, you have to go get married, and you have to have this quote unquote necessarily the family, like we was talking about, that everyone needs you to have, mother, father, child kind of thing, but. The question is, like, some of us don't find love in that kind of capacity, but can we still have a healthy life without finding love in that capacity? Like, everyone needs to be loved in a certain capacity, but you don't necessarily have to find a prototypical love. So the first sub question is, we know that we need to be loved, but necessarily being loved important to your well-being. Like, can you be a healthy person who may not have fell in love with anybody, but you know they're living your life, you feel good,
Yeah.
things of nature? What do you think?
What do I think?
Yeah.
You need to be loved.
Yeah, you need to be loved, but do you need, like right now, you're not currently in love with anyone.
That's not true. I'm in love with me.
Okay. Fair answer.
I'm in love with me.
You know,
But
self-respect,
can-
That's what's up,
self-love.
though.
I see
Hey.
that.
I know you always talk about when you find your next good relationship, the right person, they're going to make things change and stuff like that. But is it okay, is it healthy to just like, you know, I may not found the love that I want to exchange with a person, but I'm just living my life. Is it that important that, oh my gosh, you got to go crazy to find the person that to be in love with?
No, you don't. First and foremost, and I say that not to be on some crazy stuff, you have to love yourself first.
Yeah,
To be able to love anybody else.
exactly.
And this is what's I think wrong a lot of times in society. People have they need that validation of someone else's love to make them feel worthy of it. You know, anything like, oh, nobody loves me. You love yourself. You know what I'm saying?
I suffered through that in my own relationship. I went through a time period where I was just so fascinated on trying to be a good husband and love my wife that I wasn't loving myself properly. And then I had to come to a point, and she hates when I say this, it was just like, I was trying so hard to love her and ignore myself, and we were still fighting and arguing. I said, shit, I might as well concentrate on myself a little bit. And it made our relationship much better because we realized I can have my thing, she can have her thing, kind of thing. So what do you feel about the whole...
No, I agree with you. I think being two individuals and still coming together and having your own thing is like what makes a relationship very healthy.
Because you find some, and I don't want to be stereotypical and say women, but you'll find some women who from the outside their lives look perfect, but since they don't have a quote-unquote partner, that they feel like their life is not
I know
not right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, why do we stress that importance of...
Well, it's not so much in the partner, and I can safely say because I struggle with this myself, it's so much how you view yourself. Because there's some days where I can look at myself in front of the mirror and be like, you know what, I've gained a little weight here, and I don't feel comfortable. And then, you know, I have her, on the other hand, telling me, hey, listen, you're beautiful. You should love yourself how you are. You know, love you because I love you how you are. And it's just me personally just not feeling comfortable with myself.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to feel comfortable in your own skin and be able to feel comfortable with how you look. Whether it is you gain a few pounds here or lose a few pounds there, just know that you're beautiful. And whoever is with you needs to love you with the extra pounds or without.
Yeah.
And, you know, validate that for yourself. You don't need anybody else to tell you that you're beautiful. I mean, I'm grateful enough to have that every single day.
Yeah,
Somebody
it feels
to tell
good.
me, yeah, it feels good, and the extra boost. Have somebody to tell me, hey, listen, baby, you're beautiful. But at the end of the day, it's a recap. You know, I should be able to tell that to myself.
Yeah. And what's beautiful about one of you guys said this is just like, or maybe you said it like, you gotta love yourself. You gotta spend that time developing, knowing what's good for you. Because if you wait your whole life for someone to say that you matter or you meant something, what the hell have you been doing with your life?
So I'm saying you have to be able to say that to yourself. It's nice to have somebody else to say it, but At the end of the day, God forbid, what happened if that person isn't there tomorrow?
Yeah.
Who's going to tell that to you then tomorrow? You have to find somebody else to tell you, you worth it just to feel you're worth it.
So, Mike, you had some questions you wanted to discuss, and this is the topic to discuss those questions.
Okay, yeah. I have
Oh, God.
some questions specifically for our guest here. So
I feel on the spot. I just
no,
wanna let y'all know.
they're still along the lines of the
Love is important.
relationship.
Relationship.
But I get specific. I get deep with it. So
Yeah, I'm afraid of you.
don't be scared. Is pleasuring your significant other just as important or more important than you being pleasured? Because you got a lot of selfish lovers out there.
Yeah.
So
Well,
we're trying to see.
I'm definitely for the one of pleasuring. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy being pleasured. But I like pleasuring.
I love Vanessa's facial reactions.
Yeah, don't pay attention to her. I enjoy, for example, her reactions, her, like you say, her face expressions.
Yes.
But I know it's vice versa. It's good when it's both.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. There has to be a significant amount of give and take. But me personally, I just like pleasuring her.
All right, before you answer, Vanessa, I want to say the reason why I asked is I had a long, deep discussion last night with a couple people, and it's sad because some people out there are not getting pleasure.
Yeah, I know a
They're-
lot
they're-
of
and-
married people who are in that.
They're
Like I
not
said,
getting
it has to
pleasure.
be a
They're
significant
giving,
amount of
but
give
they're
and
not
take.
getting. And
Oh, nah.
I think I'm part of the discussion I was having last night. It was like, yo, you got to be communicating with your partner and
Yeah,
letting them
definitely.
know, like,
Sometimes it gets to deaf ears. I know a woman who said that, she's told her partner so many times that she's not satisfied and that she's gonna have to go elsewhere to get satisfied. And dude is just like, yeah, I'm sorry, babe, I'm gonna do better next time, but doesn't like to me
I'll be listening. Hey,
personally. For
listen,
me personally,
you taking orders today.
Yeah.
Okay?
me personally, as a dude, the reason why I'm so fixated on making sure that my wife's taken care of, kind of thing, because it's kind of this double standard with this. Like as a dude, it's so easy for us to get ours.
Mm-hmm.
It's so almost every sexual experience with a man is gonna end with him getting his. So you have to think about I know I'm gonna get mine on the back end. I got to make sure she
But
gets
no,
on the front end.
here's a nugget that was crazy. One of the
We
people
still need you to answer this
Yeah,
question
we
as
gonna
well.
get to you.
We
We
didn't
gonna
forget
get to
about
you.
you. But
One
go
of the-
ahead.
Like you said, her face expression said
one of the people in the conversation last night, one of the people in the group discussion I was having was this gay dude, and he was saying how he doesn't get off. His partners get off. Like he's the
Wow.
pleaser, but
Yeah.
he's like for some reason he's not getting off, and I'm like,
There are certain
It works
roles
both-
in.
it
what is
works
going
both
on?
ways.
Yeah, there's
And-
some
I was like, I don't
That's
understand that.
interesting, but he didn't elaborate on why he's not getting off.
I guess he was saying like they just, I guess don't give the
The same effort.
yeah, kind of
Hey,
like that. It's like,
it depends on a certain age, right? Because in my early 20s, round 2 was guaranteed. Now in your 30s, round 2 like, I'm gonna have to catch you next time. Or next time we make sure you first,
I
right?
got you.
In 12
Oh, you
hours.
won.
I gotta cut your neck
Maybe
before we
on
get
a
on
Good
to-
Friday you might get round 2, but if it's on a Thursday, maybe we gonna
68.
So what about you?
Yeah.
No, I definitely think it's important. We definitely I'm not one of the. There's a lot of lesbians out there that just like to
It's just
please.
a role.
Yeah, it's just a role. Same thing like what you're
Okay.
saying. Like they just like to please their partner. I'm not about that life.
Yeah.
You're not about to be a.
Oh, so they're not
princess.
interested in receiving
Yeah,
or
I know a lot of
No,
lesbians
there's-
that just
yeah.
want to please their partner. Like you know what I mean. The ones that are more dominant. Like I'm.
Let me ask a follow-up question to that. Do you think they're not comfortable with being touched?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Yes.
That's what I thought. So,
Not just that too, but I also feel like it's also very you're in this role of I'm what's considered to be the male in this relationship. I'm the more dominant one. Hey, listen, I'm gonna strap this on and you're gonna get this.
Yeah.
And after you're done, then that makes me feel good.
Yeah. It's ignorant, right? But we could just talk about it because we're having an adult. Because you said some people in same-sex marriage, quote unquote the same-sex relationship, the girl feels like she's the quote unquote man of it. But I've heard a joke where it's this where some quote unquote the aggressor or the male, whatever you want to call it, like when they use sex toys, would want a woman to like simulate oral sex on their sex toy, and that drives them kind of wild. Is that something that makes?
I'm gonna let you answer this question.
Definitely. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
I feel like your sex life should be very adventurous.
Yeah.
You know, and it shouldn't just be like one done, bam. You know what I mean? Like that's it.
Yeah.
Very adventurous to where it's like, you know, it lasts a couple of hours and listen.
Couple hours.
Yes.
No, I got things to do, bro.
See, you know what I mean?
I got things to do.
See, that's the difference.
A couple of hours?
Yeah.
Maybe an hour.
No.
If it's your birthday anniversary, I could get that.
No.
And see, y'all can get
on
away
a
with
Thursday
that.
where we
Y'all ain't
got
got no
General
kids.
Hospital, I don't know
No,
what's
no,
gonna
no.
happen.
No.
Y'all don't have no kids. Y'all can get away with that.
But
You
even
got
if you have
kids.
kids-
You need to take advantage of this half hour. We got a half an hour for shit get crazy.
We're coming
Let's
up
get it in.
short time. There was another
Oh.
question you had.
I'm sorry. Because y'all going to bug
This
me out.
podcast
Okay.
needs to
I
be
wish we had
longer.
more time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we only had the studio
This
for a
next
certain
one.
amount of
We'll
time.
be back next on the
Because y'all are engaged, right? I'm going to be married. So this question is saying, why do people need the marriage procedure and the title to solidify their relationship?
Personally, I don't think you don't.
Because we were taught that way. We was brought up
yeah.
that way. That's the Bible. People get married and stuff like that. That's life goals, right? I know so many women who's like, yo, your life is bomb, but they're not married.
But you know
So
what
they're
it
mad
is?
at people that they're not married. But I'm like, yo, you lived your life bomb. You go on trips, you travel, you're successful. That's a great life.
Too. A lot of women want the ring.
Buy your own ring.
The ring.
That's what it is. Y'all can be married, whatever. They don't care. They want the ring and maybe like the wedding, the actual wedding.
Yeah.
All
Other
right,
than that,
so I'm gonna
it's-
intervene.
Okay.
I'm just saying, like it's
Let's
from
hear
what
it.
You
I
answer
see,
that question
like
too.
So
I don't
I'm
want to
gonna
answer
intervene.
that.
facts. Yeah.
Go ahead.
To me personally, it's nice. It's more of I don't need the paper to know that I'm with you. I don't need that little piece of paper with your name, whose last name you gonna take and who's not you gonna take, and are you gonna hyphen or not, to know that we're gonna spend the rest of our lives with each other. To me, a wedding, it's a celebration. Let's not forget. I mean, I'm Spanish.
It's a celebration
So,
of love.
It's it's everything all around. Hey, listen, you need to get married. This is the one person you're gonna be with for the rest of your life. It's a show. It's a party for the rest of your family to know that you guys are together. Do I like the ring? Yes, I do.
It's
Do
not
I
on
like
right now, guys, because it's getting cleaned. Sorry.
Okay.
do I like the idea of marriage and the whole thing that comes behind it? Yes, I do, because let's not forget that's how I was brought up. But personally, do I think it's significant, and do I think like, okay, this is an important factor in my life that I need to happen for me to be able to be happy and be with my girl? No.
Now, let me tell you, I feel like there's twofold to this. One is you need that proof to the government. Because that's what it is. Proof to the government.
It's pretty
security,
good.
right?
Hey, listen,
Security.
That's the
God
only. That's the only
forbid-
thing
I
I'm
didn't
proud
want to
about.
get
God
married.
forbid something
It
happens.
happens, and you
You're
gotta go to the
protected.
hospital.
Your
and some
insurance
decision
policy
has to be made.
Yeah.
Your significant other.
That's literally where it literally all stems from.
Yes.
At this point in my life, that's the most important thing.
That's
that
the most
my
important.
wife's covered or I'm covered if something happened because of the legality of
The
marriage.
legality. The other aspect of it is they feel like I don't know what it is, but it's a different security, not financial or anything like that. It's a security to say, well, I feel safer now. I'm not a girlfriend. I'm a wife. Or I'm not a
this is the
boyfriend. I'm a
thing. You
But
husband.
there's no
Need that
special
There's no-
laser that protects you once you're married,
and
right?
that's the
Like
thing.
you still gonna go
It
out and
doesn't.
cheat.
I'm sorry.
I'm just a married
You
cheater now.
shouldn't
You know what I'm
need
saying?
Exactly, exactly.
You shouldn't
I'm
need
committing
that piece of
adultery
paper.
now. I'm not just
Nothing
cheating.
changes.
I'm
You
committing
shouldn't need that
adultery.
piece of paper to make you feel important
No.
and to make you
Also-
feel like, hey, listen, I'm the only one in her life.
And also, if you're married, if you neglect the person when they're married, they still gonna feel
go out.
neglected. They still gonna get
You
their
know-
needs met.
You know what the
Exactly.
only difference is now? After you go out and cheat on me, I'm gonna get that check for adultery. That's the only thing that's gonna make a difference.
And that's why
ahead.
successful people are
Thinking
scared.
ahead.
Are scared
of
about.
marriage.
Scared about. So let me
Okay.
ask questions back on the topic because we're coming a short time. Does sex without love fulfill its purpose?
I think I should answer that first.
Yeah, go
Okay.
ahead.
You pick and choose when you feel like you expert in something.
You
Because y'all all got it, love. I mean, listen. Anyone I sleep with, I have love for.
Wait, what?
Here we go. If that wasn't no BS answer,
Wait,
I
what?
am not that
No.
type of person. I have to have some type of connection with you before I sleep. I've never had a one night stand. All right, never. And I know the first and last name of everyone I slept with. Not many people can say that. You making that face? Why you got that face?
I don't believe you.
I swear, I've never had a one night stand.
I'd be lying if I
think
said
it's
I knew the
very
first
important.
name and the last name of every person I slept with.
Look at
I'm
that.
not a thought.
Look at that.
I'm just saying I've had experiences where I
Look
don't
at
know your
that.
first and last name.
Well, you know what? I think this is a question for you to answer.
Dun, 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 dun.
No, I don't think you need to have love for every person you sleep with.
Yeah. Sometimes sex is a release.
Yeah,
Sometimes
that's it.
we're animals. Sometimes we need that release. Obviously, when you're with someone special, it's nice to have the love and like know that you're looking in
So
their
deeper
eyes.
connection
Definitely
Deeper
feels
different.
connection.
I can
Yeah.
definitely say it's definitely
But-
different when you have sex with love than just sex with just to have sex. It's definitely
That
a
orgasm's different. That,
Don't you know? I'm glad you know.
But it's true, right? Because there's the animalistic portions of us that we just need that kind of release.
Facts.
But I feel like, if people are always looking to just be in love to have sex or to have that purpose,
You would never have sex, Bill. I'm sorry,
yeah.
but some people will just
Take
never
a
find
while.
that.
Exactly.
It takes some people time to find that because, like I said, sometimes you're just scared. It's not just the one that you're for. It's just you're trying to please everybody else. You're not getting ready to please
So
yourself.
the last question on this topic is love important? Like a lot of times people are in marriages or relationships now because they're just there because of the functionality of it. Maybe you're co-parenting, right? Maybe you're just in a relationship parenting. Maybe the rent is too damn high in New York and y'all together because it's easier to pay that rent kind of thing. The relationship's kind of going. So my question is, theoretically,
Like
Can-
cohabitating.
can you partner with someone but not be in love with them?
Hell no.
No,
I think I could.
you're on
Like,
your own with that one, bro.
I'm in love. I'm married and stuff like that. But me knowing myself now, if some God forbid something doesn't happen, and me and my wife don't work out kind of thing, I can rock with someone that I'm not, oh my gosh, head over heels in love with, but we vibe right and we get things
Still
done
that-
But you're
together.
talking in the sense of you, let's say, not being with your wife. That's different because you guys have that history there.
Mm-hmm.
If we're talking about just, hey, I'm going to move in with you because you can help me pay my bills even though I'm not in love with you, it's a different story. Because God forbid one day God forbid one day you don't have that rent and I have to put in half of my money for your ass. Ain't no way, bro. Ain't no
Let's
way.
keep it a buck. How many
It's gonna be
women?
50-50.
How many women or even men are with someone because they're stable, but they may not necessarily love them?
Well, then
That's
we
the
have to
same thing.
reevaluate
I'm
that
sure there's a lot.
relationship. And I'm sure there's a lot of people, but that's where you have to reevaluate your relationship. Because at the end of the day, you're going to live your rest of your life just because you're with somebody that can be able to afford your trip to Aruba.
I can
Or
learn
be
to
able-
love you. I can learn.
I think there's a lot of people.
I'm sure you can.
The sex is bomb. Your check is decent. Let's make it work.
Yes, but further
Teamwork
down the
make the
line,
dream work kind of
you
thing.
also have to think about what kind of relationship you're in. Are you looking forward to a future? Do you want to have kids? Do you want to build a life? Is this the person that you're going to build a life with?
So my,
And
I
at
couldn't- I
that
couldn't
and
do
at
it.
that end of the day,
so you have to be in love
things
to
are going to
partner
change.
with someone.
Yeah. I can do that, honestly, because I've been in situations where, the love wasn't the same and we were still cohabitating, and it's just like,
It's stressful.
yeah, it's not a comfortable situation, and you want to be most comfortable when you're in your home.
So
And
I'm
it's
taking it
just
to
You
that
want to
next
be able
level.
to come home and
Do
be
you
like, I'm
do you
a
have to be madly in love to be in a long-term relationship with someone? Because some people, some marriages, relationships, peaks and valleys.
Yeah,
Sometimes
that's
we
all
just
of it.
like each other for a couple of months. Maybe the next couple of months after that, we back in love. But do you have to be like madly in love to be in a long-term relationship?
Yes, I agree.
Is that the consensus?
I think I haven't succeeded yet, so maybe
I'm rooting
For
for
it
you.
to be
I'm
like
on your team, though.
lasting, yes. Yeah.
you on my team. You
I'm on
root
your.
for
I'll
me?
root for you.
Root for me. Pray for me, even.
I'll be
I
at
need
church.
the power of the
I'll be
Lord.
at church
Because
next
we're
Sunday.
coming up on time. We're gonna have to wrap up the show, but I'm gonna ask everyone to answer this one question, 30 seconds or less. What is the biggest what if? Like, what is there what if I would have made this decision, but I didn't, that could have changed your life? Go.
What if I didn't go to that barbecue and not meet you?
What if I never would have started work at H&M?
I didn't want this question to be asked. Go ahead, you go first. I'll go
I
last.
was just say, what if I would have pulled out or something like that? But my biggest what if is what if I would have believed in myself more and chased after my dreams? I would have been much further in everything that I wanted to do. Now I feel like I'm playing catch up, doing that kind of thing.
I feel you. Like, what if I would have gone for my master's right out of?
What if I would have focused on my goals and the money and let the women come after?
Yeah.
That's my what if. I shouldn't.
Because don't get it twisted. I feel like I'm in a good place, but I feel like I'm behind in a lot of things because I wasn't confident to go. I was waiting for things to be ideal, waiting for things to be perfect, waiting for things to feel comfortable.
I feel you, but at the same time, I don't regret any of the what ifs.
I don't regret
Because if I regretted them, then I would have never had my chance.
But life is so screwed up because it gives you all these hormones and you get all this confusion as a teenager, right? And you got no direction and you're clueless and you found somebody who loves you and you're like, oh my God, this is so great. And it distracts you from everything. So you lose all that focus that you need at that time that could elevate you on the right path in life. And then years later when you realize, hey, this is what I should have been doing. It's like, God damn, but now I'm like $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in debt.
Yeah.
Got a kid over here.
It's the American dream. It was the American dream.
Unfortunately, like I
Life.
said, we had the studio for a limited time, so we
Yeah.
got to end the show.
Damn,
Thank
it
you
was
guys
fun.
so much for
It was
coming
fun.
through.
No, thank you
You
for
had great
having
opinions.
us.
You definitely rock for us for the pride portion because the
Yes.
pride. He was something like, "Yo, it's Pride Month." I'm like, "Shit, we didn't even address that."
It's coincidence.
And it's coincidence.
Yeah,
So
Well,
that
I
was
just want to
perfect.
let y'all know we're available every Sunday whenever y'all
Okay,
ready.
We're definitely gonna have you back because I want you
Yeah,
guys to
yeah,
come
yeah.
back when we have the other guy. Shout out to Clifford Brockbanam who's not here.
Yeah.
Shout out to Amanda
Greedy
Greedy who's
gut.
not here. They'll be back for the next show. So
Yeah.
we gotta wrap up, but give a shout out and then everybody give a shout out. Then we end it.
I'm gonna shout out to my family, my grandma who always hold me down. Love you.
I'm just trying to tell everybody, it's Pride Month. It's also Puerto Rican,
facts.
the
Yeah.
parade. Congratulations to everybody. And, well, like I said.
Wepa.
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 I'm feeling very wepa today.
Wepa. Yo, shout out to my minions, you know what I mean? Kayla, Kira, MJ, Carmelo. Shout out to my cousin Showtime. We was filming the video yesterday. You should have came through.
You didn't invite us, so we couldn't.
I did. Anyway, he has an album called Love Truth. Check it out. This boy could sing. We just filmed the video, the TYLA remix with Pharoah Monch.
Next video, we should be
It
invited.
was dope. I invited y'all. She wanted to know where the food was.
Well, I
she was
didn't
coming
get
there
the
to
text.
eat.
That's why you don't text her for things like that.
Well, I just want to shout out everybody who's out there, chasing their dreams, going out to do what they got to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, go out there, chase your dreams, get uncomfortable, learn. You're not going to get lost. This is going to be lessons, right? So go out there, experience things, make mistakes, but learn from them. And we out. Peace!
Views from the friend zone. Mom